I want to take a swing at answering a question I have seen popping up on the internet this week that I find very compelling. The question is this: why aren't more people watching Fantastic Four? Now, I know what you're saying. People watched it. It made $500 or so million at the box office. It was, a moderate hit. It wasn't the biggest hit of this year for sure, but it did okay. It was Marvel's best performing movie of 2025. Also, Mike Mortimer is around. He wanted to throw in his 2 cents. And his reason, he thinks, for why people aren't watching Fantastic Four is because it doesn't have enough cats. The Thing traditionally has cats, at least now he does in the comics. And they didn't include that, and that could have helped. So this is just a warning to the people that are making an X-Men movie. You give Gambit his cats, otherwise our pets are going to be very unhappy. But anyway, so Fantastic Four First Steps, not a box office bomb. Not even a flop. The reviews were pretty good. We don't know how much it cost to make, but it seems like it made money, so it was successful there. Your local Target isn't littered with unsellable Fantastic Four toys, so that's a good sign. And I think generally, people are excited to see the Fantastic Four in Doomsday. That is something people are looking forward to. So the company Nielsen that does all of the ratings, tells you how popular shows are, they put out numbers for how many people watch movies on streaming services because they monitor that too. They did this for Fantastic Four First Steps, and a user on Reddit, Netflixers, put together a chart that shows all of the recent Marvel movies, and then based on the first 5 days of their release on Disney Plus, how many people watch them. So this is specifically trying to capture that number. When this comes on Disney Plus, how many people immediately watch it, or watch it within the first couple of days. For reference, the most watched recent one of these was Black Panther Wakanda Forever at 14.1 million views. So that is a good number. I don't even know how that compares to other movies, but I do know how that compares to these. Then Captain America Brave New World, a movie that came out this year, 6.4 million. But that's what you would expect. Black Panther Wakanda Forever did really well critically, made a lot of money, people really liked it. It was a good movie, and it was a follow-up to a really successful movie. So, for that reason, you would expect it would do pretty well. And then Captain America Brave New World, bad reviews, not great box office, a movie that people generally thought was kind of a mess. So yeah, not as many people are going to be psyched to see that the day it comes out on Disney+. Thunderbolts below Captain America Brave New World at 5.5, which makes sense because the Thunderbolts just aren't as big of a thing as Captain America. So there are certain people that are just ooh, okay, Captain America, where's Thunderbolts? You do have to kind of sell people on that idea. The Marvels got a 5.3, Black Widow a 5.1. Black Widow is weird because Black Widow also premiered on Disney+, so I don't know how that factors into this number. But then, at the bottom of the list, Fantastic Four First Steps with 4.9 million. So looking at all the movies that came out in the last few years, Fantastic Four First Steps was the lowest viewed on the first 5 days on Disney+. But, like I said, a somewhat popular movie, pretty well reviewed, made a decent amount of money, has name recognition. I wouldn't say it has the same problems as Thunderbolts or the Marvels. So you'd have to expect, if I had to guess, I would say this would get somewhere in the 8 million range. Right, more than Captain America Brave New World, probably not as much as Black Panther. That would have been my guess. I would never have guessed it would be the lowest. And a lot of people this week have been asking the question, why? Why was this well-reviewed movie that made money not also a movie people wanted to watch on Disney Plus? Because that's usually how these work. And I think there's a couple of different answers I've seen, different opinions people have. And I think they're all worth looking at because I think A, this is an interesting thing, this is an interesting kind of phenomenon. B, I think Marvel's got to figure this out, and I'm sure they're doing all of the math you possibly could do to isolate all the variables and stuff. But I think this is going to be potentially a problem for Marvel, and I'd like to see what the truth is behind it, what's happening here. So I'm going to go through a couple of the responses that I saw pretty quickly. This one I saw all over the place. It was well, people didn't see Brave New World in theaters. People saw Fantastic Four First Steps in theaters, so they didn't need to see it again, whereas Brave New World or Thunderbolts they didn't see in theaters, so it comes on a Disney Plus, and they do watch it. That would make sense if Black Panther Wakanda Forever was not so much higher than all the rest of them. It seems like, up until Fantastic Four, a more viewed movie in theaters would lead to a more viewed movie on Disney Plus. Because there's plenty of people that don't see it in theaters and wait for Disney Plus, and if they hear it's not a good movie, they're not going to go check it out on Disney Plus. Second thing, and this maybe I could be convinced factored into it in some way, it's that after ABC benched Jimmy Kimmel because of the Trump administration, a lot of people canceled their Disney Plus to boycott. Now, obviously, Jimmy Kimmel is back, and a lot of those people probably got their Disney Plus back, but maybe a bunch of them just didn't, and I wouldn't find that incredibly surprising because of how the economy has been tough for people at the end of this year. You stop paying for Disney Plus, a week passes, you're fine, your life is going on. And then, they fix the Jimmy Kimmel thing, but you're like, I don't want to pay for this again. I'll just, whatever, I'll check it out later. Or maybe I'll get Disney Plus for a month in a while. It's kind of like the Target thing. Like, I've seen a lot of people saying they boycotted Target because of their anti-woke, anti-DEI agenda, because that just, they didn't like that. But then, if Target changed that, if they fixed it, they still probably wouldn't come back because they learned to live their lives without it. So the way we would figure that out with that data is you would play this against other Disney Plus data from this week. So like something very recent, or at least something from the last maybe couple of weeks, because the Jimmy Kimmel thing has been resolved for a while. So the people that were going to get their Disney Plus back got it back. But that being said, I don't think that accounts for all of it. I don't think that many people canceled their Disney Plus accounts. And even if they did, I feel like Disney Plus probably did a bunch of work to get those people back. There's probably deals and stuff. So I could be convinced. You showed me a number that's like half of Disney Plus subscribers canceled their subscription in response to the Kimmel thing. I'd be like, well, okay, I guess maybe that does have a pretty big effect on how many people watch Fantastic Four. I don't think that's the number. So I don't think that's as big of a deal. I also saw someone bring up that it's a weird time to release a movie like this because certain people tend to watch only Christmas stuff from this time on. Like this part of the year, December, it's Christmas season. So if you put Fantastic Four First Steps on, even if it's like in the very beginning of December, no one's going to watch it. I definitely don't live in one of those households. I'm sure there's ones that do, but I also think, this isn't like a mall where it has to be constantly playing Christmas music all the time. I think if a movie came out that people were excited about, especially if they were on Disney Plus watching some Christmas thing and they saw a pop-up for Fantastic Four and they wanted to watch it, I think they would. I don't think, especially this early in December. So those three explanations I don't really buy. It leaves us with two, and they're similar, but I think different in specific ways. And the first one, and this one's hard to quantify, was literally superhero movie fatigue. People have been talking about that for a while. This year was not a good year for superhero movies. Say what you will about superhero movie fatigue. Last year was pretty good for superhero movies. Deadpool and Wolverine made a lot of money, even though Sony released a bunch of weird Spider-Man spin-offs that people didn't watch, and then Joker 2 was a musical that people didn't really like. Deadpool and Wolverine, a movie you would expect to make money, made money. People liked it. It was fun. But that being said, this year, I think, is trickier. You had Captain America Brave New World, a movie that was not reviewed particularly well. So that didn't do super well. You had Thunderbolts, a movie that I think everybody would acknowledge out of the three Marvel ones this year is a tough sell compared to the others, because it's characters from teams that people may not be familiar with, and it doesn't really have too much of a basis in the comics. There's just not a lot to grab onto. I think it did pretty well considering that, but still, you could say if they released that in 2017 when Marvel was crushing it, it would have made $600 million. Maybe. It's hypothetical. Fantastic Four, like I said, performed okay, not an enormous hit. Superman also performed pretty well, but by the end of this year, there's a good chance it will also be knocked out of the top 10 movies of this year. What did really well this year were movies for kids. That's I'd say the main selling point for theaters these days. Lilo and Stitch, the Minecraft movie, How to Train Your Dragon. Yes, there were some other movies that made a lot of money. F1 did very well. Avatar, apparently, according to the Golden Globes, has already achieved box office success, even though it hasn't come out yet. And Superman's a special case because this is also a character that has had trouble on film and has a weird reputation. Even though he is very popular, there's people that think he's just boring, right? That movie, I would say, performed about as well as you would expect. Based on the reviews, it did pretty well. It made a fair amount of money, and I think people liked it. It got a lot of attention. I would imagine it did pretty well first week streaming numbers, although it's different platforms, so maybe that changes things. I'm not sure. Either way, I think you could say that there is a decline in interest in superheroes, for sure. I don't think any of the movies this year were absolute grand slams. I don't think we've had an absolute grand slam superhero movie in a while, maybe since, for me at least, I know other people think differently about it, Guardians 3, I think felt like a grand slam, and that did perform very well. It kind of met all the expectations. So are we fatigued by superhero movies, or are we fatigued by average movies that happen to have superheroes? Hard to tell. I'm working on a video about that. I'm trying to kind of figure that out. But then the other answer that I actually saw a lot of people had and really got me thinking, I was genuinely interested in reading people's responses, reading their reactions, and then thinking back to myself, I haven't rewatched this movie, and I think I said in the video already, maybe I didn't, I don't rewatch movies very much. Even if I love a movie, I really liked Sinners, I haven't rewatched it because I got a great experience in the theater. I've seen a clip or two online. I get it. Maybe I'll rewatch it sometime down the line, but I definitely don't immediately rewatch it, unless there's a lot of details you want to pick up on again. I will say the only movie this year that I rewatched as quickly as I could, and was one of the only movies I saw in theaters this year twice, was Weapons. I loved Weapons, and like I think that movie for me was one that I could not wait to see it at home. Personally, I think that is a movie that lends itself very much to rewatching once you know what's going on, kind of changes things, and I just think it's a fun time. But like that's what it takes basically to get me to rewatch a movie immediately. So like I didn't rewatch Fantastic Four, but I didn't rewatch any of these. I also, because I make videos about them, watch these movies a billion times out of context clips anyway, so you know, I don't want to get sick of them. But I saw a lot of people that said something to the effect of, listen, I enjoyed the movie when I saw it in theaters, and I had no interest in seeing it again. But then other people would say, and I think this is the more interesting one, I kind of liked this movie when I saw it in theaters, but as time went on, I liked it less or was less interested in it. And that I think is a very interesting reaction to a movie like this, because I don't think that's how, like, you know, Thunderbolts worked, for example, another, you know, movie that came out, or Superman. And that's not how these are supposed to work. You're supposed to see it, like it, and then get excited for the next one immediately. Like that's, you know, that's hype. That's a big part of this whole industry. And people pointed to a lot of things about Fantastic Four First Steps that they didn't really love. And as I read through them, I remembered that I gave it a very positive review. And there were a lot of things I did really like about that movie. The production design was like impeccable. The music, the score was my favorite Marvel score in forever. The effects looked incredible. I loved Ben Grimm. I thought Galactus looked great. Like the visuals were awesome. I thought the casting for most of the characters was perfect. I thought some of the humor worked for me. I enjoyed Johnny specifically. I thought he was fun. But I cannot deny what a lot of people were saying about it. Looking back, I do kind of agree with. So I'm not saying that this movie is bad and you shouldn't like it if you liked it or anything like that. I am saying I understand why people, when reevaluating it, notice some of the weirdness associated with it. Like, for instance, and I'm sure these are things that some people said after they watched the movie, I think a lot of this I had to kind of sit with to really like feel what maybe didn't feel right. I think the biggest mistake this movie made, looking back, is like there's so little Ben Grimm in it. He has so little to do. He has the smallest plot line out of everybody in the Fantastic Four. Now, I don't like the 2015 movie very much. I do think the Tim Story movies, while not great, did get some things right, and one of them was centering like the emotion of the first movie, at least, around Ben Grimm. I would say the second movie, that's kind of Johnny Storm, and maybe that's why it doesn't work exactly as well. But like Ben Grimm being the character who has to deal with all this pathos and stuff, like, and then Dr. Doom offers him the option to lose his power. Like, him being the central figure makes total sense, and that's how Fantastic Four stories usually work. So I find it strange, looking back, the Fantastic Four First Steps gave him next to nothing to do. Sure, he was around for the big fights and like piloted the spaceship and the action scenes, but like, what was his plot line? And there's some people that said, well, they liked that he didn't have the plot line of like, oh, I'm a monster, no one can love me. But A, he kind of does have that plot line anyway. He has the plot line of like, oh, can I even date the one from Poker Face? And then in the end, he kind of does, but not really. So like, there's like one scene where he's a little sad about how he's different. But even earlier in the movie where he's like, I'm so sorry about what happened. And the thing's like, no, it's okay. That's not a big deal for me anymore. Which I think is an interesting thing for that character to do eventually. But I do think one of the most interesting things about that character is that he has that problem compared to the other ones. Compared to all the rest of the members of the Fantastic Four, he got the bad power. And seeing him overcome that and seeing him come to terms with that is a really important part of making this character likable and making this whole kind of teamwork. So I think A, we didn't do that. B, we didn't give him any really interesting ways to interact with Galactus or anything like that. He had barely any important moments in any of the big fights. And by any of the big fights, I mean the two big fights. This is another thing that looking back, I'm like, it is weird that there is no opening action sequence in this movie. The pacing of Fantastic Four First Steps is so strange, and I can tell, we kind of know this. It was edited a lot, and it seems like it was rewritten, and there were a lot of different drafts of the script, but also there was a version of this movie where it starts with them fighting John Malkovich, who you could see in one of the trailers, and his super apes that you do see in a clip on the Ted Gilbert Show. So this movie is light on like fight scenes and action sequences, and part of why is because the big first one just isn't there. And do you need to have a big action sequence in every movie? No, and I commend the people that worked on the movie in going in that direction, going, no, we're just going to make it more of like a family thing. We're going to start with them having dinner and finding out Sue's pregnant and stuff. We'll show some superhero exploits so that people understand what these guys can do, but that is not going to be the most important thing that happens in the beginning of our movie. I think that's cool. However, I think there are a lot of people who watch these movies because they're fun, thrilling adventure movies, even if they don't fully work. You get that. You get a fun fight scene every so often, right? Like, say what you will about Brave New World. There's some good action sequences in that movie. The fight with Hulk is cool. The fight with the Jets is cool. The fight in the beginning where he fights the Serpent Society guys is fine. And the bit where he fights the leader is okay. Listen, it's not a great movie, but it does check those boxes in a way that, like, Fantastic Four just doesn't. But it's strange because you can feel the absence of that scene so clearly in the opening of the movie. And for people that didn't watch all the trailers and weren't able to see where these scenes were, but originally they were going to get introduced in the Ted Gilbert Show. He was going to talk about them a little bit, probably show that clip of like them, they went into space and all the behind the scenes footage of space, and then she revealed a Fantastic Four, but oh wait, their communicators all went off and they had to go fight the Red Ghost and his super apes, and all of the things that they do, like Sue catching the thing and Johnny welding the monorail back together, was part of that fight. To me, the Red Ghost would have caused chaos throughout the city to split up the Fantastic Four, but then Reed has to fight the apes kind of by himself, and that's tricky, but like fun. But we didn't do that, and I think you can feel that this movie doesn't need that, but does want that. Also, looking back, I was 50-50 on how far they should go with Reed in terms of his stretching. I don't mind that Galactus stretched him really hard and he like hurt, because I like that he has some limits to how far he can stretch without like straining himself, right? Because he didn't die. It was just like he was not comfortable. It is kind of annoying that this is a movie that takes place 4 years, I believe, after they were the Fantastic Four, and Reed does not really do any fun stretching stuff. Like, he doesn't turn into a ball. He doesn't make big giant hands to catch somebody. It's kind of swinging around and using arm to pull yourself towards the thing sometimes, but it was a very minimal amount of Mr. Fantastic stretching. Like, I think the movie did a good job of giving Invisible Woman some action moments. I think the movie did a good job of giving Johnny things to do in the action sequences. But, like, looking back, Reed and Ben really didn't have anything. At no point in the movie do they just straight up fight the Silver Surfer. And like, can they? Not really. They're not really matched to fight the Silver Surfer, but at least show it. Show a scene where they all just try to beat her up. And not like the scene where they're escaping, but like when she shows up, they fight her for the first time in the middle of the city. Just so we can see that happen. So that part of the pacing was weird. I also think, and I saw this critique, and the more I think about it, the more I kind of agree, the world felt kind of empty in a way that was strange. Obviously, space is empty. That's space. That's how it works. There's only 6 people in there. The 4 Fantastic Fours, I guess 5 when it's the kid, Silver Surfer, and Galactus. Not a lot of characters there. On Earth, though, there were some shots of the Fantastic Four interacting with people, and I like that. But like, the big final fight happens in the middle of a totally cleared out New York. Most of the scenes in the end of the movie are the Fantastic Four by themselves trying to work out this problem, and I think that is good. But on the other hand, it's clear that we went to pretty great lengths to create this 60s world, this retro future 60s world, but we didn't really do that much stuff in it. And I think part of why that's so weird is, like, looking back, it's wild that we saw Mole Man, Galactus and Silver Surfer, obviously, and like a super ape, but we didn't see any of the other Fantastic Four villains. I'm not talking about Dr. Doom either. We did kind of see him, I guess, but like, we didn't see the Mad Thinker. We didn't see Dragon Man. We didn't see the Wizard. We heard about some of them, but like, hearing about them is different from seeing them. Show don't tell, right? And like, there were points in the movie where it felt like you were watching someone watch a movie. There were a lot of like clips and things like that, which is fine, but it seemed to take the place of like the scene where you would see that thing happen. And I think that would be something. I am sympathetic to the idea that maybe skipping the origin was kind of a mistake. I'll be honest. Like, I don't think we need to see every origin, every time. But I do think, there are people who are not sold on the Fantastic Four, right? They've seen the origin, they know it, but they don't like it because they've only seen it in movies that aren't very good, or at least they don't think are very good. So like, while they know the facts about how the Fantastic Four became the Fantastic Four and kind of what the dynamics are within the team, they didn't see that happen. They weren't endeared to the team in those moments, so it feels weird setting them up that way, especially because it is so clear after reading that comic book that talked about on one of the videos, the Fantastic Four comic book where they fight Mole Man. Like, that is the first movie in a trilogy about these guys. It's that, and then the second movie is some Doctor Doom movie that we'll never see, and then the third movie is this Galactus thing. That's how you would do that. And on one hand, it's cool that they skipped some of the stuff and like kind of put us in a different space. But on the other hand, I'm not surprised that some people didn't connect with the world or the action or the characters, because the movie does not take the steps that they traditionally do to establish why you have connected with those characters. And yeah, that's tricky. We didn't see Sue and Reed get together. We didn't see them meet. We don't really know what they were like before they met each other. We have a sense for like kind of what Reed's relationship with Johnny is and Reed's relationship with Ben, but like I think seeing that start and then watching that smooth out over time would also make you kind of feel this family come together. And again, I think they had chemistry. I think almost all the interactions like between the Fantastic Four were good, but there is like a reason that these traditionally start with origin stories. And I think we, as a comic book, community, and like just generally moviegoers, are like, we don't need to see Batman's family shot again. We've seen it so many times. Yeah, and all the times we've seen it, at least most of the times, we liked it, right? Batman Begins, a very good movie people really liked, showed the execution of the Waynes. Batman 89 did the same thing. Batman Forever also kind of did it, I think, and then it's on all the cartoons, and then also they did it in the Snyder movies. But like, there is a version of Batman that you love and you've already seen that scene. And I think it might have been a mistake to assume that what was necessary there was the part where people knew about it and not the part where people saw it happen and liked it. Also, this is another one, like, I am excited to see these characters in Doomsday, and I do think, and this isn't all like bad news and stuff, I'll talk about things that I think are good and things I'm excited about. I think there's a weird feeling in Marvel right now where we know stuff doesn't really count fully. There's gonna be some sort of big reset after Secret Wars. So like, we can enjoy a movie like Fantastic Four First Steps and look at the world and go, oh, that's fun. That's a fun little car. Ooh, that guy's got a fun little hat, whatever. But like, audiences are not expected to get invested in this world, to get invested in the side characters. There's no guarantee we're going to see Natasha Lyonne or Mole Man or the Silver Surfer again. They may just be reset and like worked into a world that already has some of those guys going, but they're not really the same ones, right? Because like, A, it's not going to be the 60s versions, and B, it is going to be more traditional versions of some of those characters. So like, if we get another Silver Surfer in the future, I imagine it will be Norrin Radd, the male Silver Surfer. And not that I don't think that's a good idea. I think Norrin Radd is a good character, and like, there's a lot of great stuff you do with him. But it's like, I understand people watching Fantastic Four First Steps and going, okay, I understand enough to get to Doomsday. And I'm going to see these guys in Doomsday, and I'll probably like them. And then I'll see Secret Wars. And then, when you reset everything, and we have these guys set somewhere, permanent, I could start getting invested in the rest of it. That, I think, is a big part of why these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies work and don't work, is the idea of, like, wanting to exist in the world with those characters, like, the side characters, the Guardians of the Galaxy. You want to hang out with all of them. You want to hang out with Cosmo, and that's why you can do a big cool Christmas special with Mantis and Drax, two side characters. Drax less so than Mantis, but like, if there was a Mantis like character in Fantastic Four First Steps, and maybe it's Mole Man, we might never see him again. Also, with the might never see him again thing, it's hard to get excited about a Marvel thing if there's no guarantee that they're ever going to do anything with it. And what I mean about that is, and this is really specific, I don't remember exactly how this happened, so I'm just going to kind of make up the scenario to get to where we were going. Let's say we were talking about like Werewolf by Night and Michael Giacchino, because I love him and I love his score and I love that he directed that. When I said that, my girlfriend was like, oh yeah, I really like that Werewolf by Night. Like, that was really fun. And I agree. I also really like that. And it has been years since it came out, and we have no indication we'll ever see any of them again. And I'm not saying the only reason you rewatch something is because you want to get ready for a second thing. And I am saying we have a limited amount of space in our brains, all of us do, when it comes to investment in something. investment in a character or a franchise or a series of films or whatever, a cinematic universe. And if something like feels like it's a one and done, I think you can go like, that was fun, but I don't need to learn all of the backstory of all these guys. I don't need to see it again and look for all the little details. But if you expect that you're going to have to see them in the future and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get excited for like all this stuff on the wall and go like, oh, that's, this villain and that's a hint to this guy. Who else is he going to fight? Like, we have no indication this character's ever going to show up again. Elsa Bloodstone, Man-Thing, none of them. And the Werewolf by Night special was very popular. Seemed relatively cheap, which is like a reason why you can make many of them, right? Like you should be able to reproduce this. And it felt different, and people really liked that. So I think there's this question that hangs over almost all of these movies where you're like, am I ever going to see Shang-Chi again? Should I rewatch that and get excited about the 10 Rings? I know you said the 10 Rings will return, but like, will they? And yeah, I know we're going to see Shang-Chi in Doomsday, but like, what about his friends? What about the guy with the razor for an arm? Are we ever going to see him again? Who knows? But yeah, we know that Doomsday's coming, and we know that there's going to be a big reset and stuff. And because of that, it's like, you let me know when we're done. Like when you're at the place where this is what it's going to be for a while. And then I think there is a lot of people that will get really invested and say, all right, this is my jumping on point. Hopefully the movies are good. And then they'll be like, yeah, Marvel's back. We got the X-Men and another Fantastic Four movie in this universe, whatever. I think that would really work for people. But I think we can like feel it in the air. We're not there. And I know this sounds really negative. And I mean, to some extent it is. But in another sense, like when I saw this movie, I enjoyed it. And that is the goal. Right? Like, that's what you want. Rewatchability is fun and nice, but it's not the main thing. It's not the most important thing. I also don't think it's a huge marker of the overall success of, like, the MCU, specifically because I think when Doomsday comes up, people will get excited about this again and get excited about some of these characters again. I would not be surprised if there is a spike in people watching Fantastic Four First Steps after the Doomsday trailer comes out. I'm not positive that's how it would happen, but I could see a world where Doomsday trailer comes out, people see Mr. Fantastic hanging out with Shang-Chi and Cyclops and go, ooh, I gotta watch that. Now I'm real curious. I also think, and I'm kind of, I've made my fun at the expense of the Russo brothers in the Electric State. They are good at taking characters that are kind of working and putting them in a room with characters that are really working, and then kind of jump-starting everything. Like, everybody works. I think the best example of that for me was Infinity War, where we got Doctor Strange in his origin movie, which I think was okay and like fine. And I think that character was built up in a way that was fine. But then when you put him next to Tony Stark and next to the Guardians of the Galaxy and have him fight with Thanos and use his really creative spells, you really start to like this guy. And you're like, oh, this is great. This is what we need. And I think maybe part of the emptiness and like the bubble that the Fantastic Four existed in, the solution to that will be putting them in a room with Yelena and just seeing them bounce off of her, seeing Johnny and her argue about something. That will be fun. And like, I trust the Russo brothers and the writing team of those other Avengers movies to be able to do that again. So while I think some people might watch Fantastic Four First Steps, before this, I think for a lot of people, they might watch Doomsday and go like, oh, I like these guys. So then when the next movie comes out, does really well. I think Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness made a pretty good amount of money. And there were a lot of factors there, but I think one of them is Doctor Strange had a lot of standout moments in Infinity War that got people excited about him. All of that being said, it's not great that people did not watch this movie. The ideal version of this story that Disney would want to tell, Fantastic Four makes a modest amount of money at the box office, makes its budget back, sells some toys, all that stuff. And then because of word of mouth and good reviews and stuff, when it comes on Disney Plus, people are excited. And hey, maybe the problem is it's Christmas. That's Disney's fault. They shouldn't have put it out during Christmas. Hey, maybe the problem is it's the Jimmy Kimmel thing. That's also Disney's fault. They shouldn't have folded the way that they did. So no matter what, this is a problem that Disney needs to correct. I'm not sure exactly what they need to do. And I think that advice that people give on the internet of like, make better movies, make them more character driven. Like, that's so nebulous. That's not a thing you can say to someone. It's not something you can quantify. It is important that the movies are better, but they're already trying that. They're doing that. That's not the problem. Maybe the problem is stop rewriting the movies too many times, right? Like, on one hand, you want to get it perfect, but on the other hand, if you keep tweaking it like you did with Fantastic Four, maybe that messes with the flow of it. I mean, it's hard to say. But I think we're in an interesting space right now, and I'm very excited for the Doomsday trailer that's going to come out someday in the future. And I know it's probably going to be a pretty small trailer that's not going to give us that much. Probably going to be a lot of, shots from the other movies and narration and maybe a shot of Doctor Doom, and then maybe that's it, right? And that's still something, and I think people will still get excited about that. But I think like next year, once Spider-Man's done and once the marketing for Doomsday really starts kicking into gear, I think people will still be excited for it. I don't think this is a terrible sign, but it's definitely not a good sign. It's not one that if I were Disney, I would want to have. And it's a shame because, like I said, so much of the Fantastic Four movie, I think, worked really well. But for whatever reason, it didn't come together in a way that made people want to rewatch it. I am curious, in comments, in tweets, whatever it is, let me know what you think. Why maybe you think people didn't want to rewatch Fantastic Four First Steps, why you did or did not want to rewatch Fantastic Four First Steps, and what you think that says about the bigger picture. Because you are the people that would have watched it or did watch it, so you're the ones that really know. And if all 4 million of you, or I guess all 14 million of you could respond, that would be really helpful. Because I don't just want the 4 million that saw it. I want the other 10 million that saw Black Panther but didn't see this. So all you guys, put those answers in the comments, and we'll see what happens when Doomsday comes out. And if you need a movie to watch in your spare time, you want to be entertained between now and a year from now, one thing you could watch is this cool new short film called The Dinner Plan. A short film made by Patrick Willems. It's about a guy played by Griffin Newman, who you may recognize from The Tick, who has to navigate a very important business dinner, even though he has lots of food allergies, but he doesn't want to upset his host, which, as someone who has both gone to fancy work dinners and fancy work dinners with some interesting food, like I worked for a company forever ago that was largely Swedish, and we had fish, the Swedish fish that they bury underground at one of the parties, and that was interesting. We didn't but I ate some, and I remember stressing out a little bit beforehand, but I guess that's a different situation because then they all knew none of us were going to love it. But with the dinner plan, it's like, what if loving it and being complimentary about the food is something that you have to do for work? How do you get through that? And listen, I feel like I'm kind of over explaining it. Just go watch it. It's got John Hodgman, Miriam Shore, Zach Cherry, a lot of people you probably recognize from TV stuff, or in the Zach Cherry specifically, you probably recognize him from being the guy that's like, Spider-Man, do a flip, or the guy that's like, I'm live streaming Shang-Chi. Anyway, if you want to watch The Dinner Plan, along with all kinds of other great stuff, you should check out this video sponsor, Nebula, which we just introduced 3-day trials for Nebula. You're like, what's Nebula? Well, it's a subscription streaming service that I helped to create. I've talked about this many times in many videos before, where me and a bunch of other YouTube creators, people that make videos about like history, culture, current events, science, all kinds of stuff. It's a very big list of what we make videos about. The Nebula is a platform you can go to watch all our videos early, ad-free. You can like download them on your phone. But like Nebula is curated. I don't know if you guys use YouTube a lot. I do for all kinds of stuff. And it has so much AI. And some of it's like obvious AI, right? Like a movie trailer for Avengers Doomsday, and it's all the characters just kind of turning. But there's also AI content where it is a disembodied voice talking about a news thing or character in a comic book or something. A lot of times I'll be like, what is the deal with this vigilante character? I would like to learn a little bit more about him pretty quickly, so I'll put on a YouTube video. And if I did this 3 years ago, it's like people who know what they're talking about, who are fans of the character, research the character, whatever, and they're like human beings. And I love that. And do it now. Unless you see the person's face or you know who they are, it could very well, and a lot of them are just like AI videos where the AI talks about the characters. It drives me up a wall because you don't always know it until like you're a little bit in and you're like, oh man, something about the way this guy's talking just doesn't feel right. But sometimes they just do sound right, and it's not until like you're pretty much done with the video that you're like, damn it, that wasn't a real person. And like Nebula's got a lot of great things going for it, but one main one that I love to tell people about is it's all real people. We are making it ourselves, and all the videos getting made on it are made by us, and it's very cool. And a year of Nebula is already a steal. It's $60 a year, $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, in the month of December specifically, you can get a year of Nebula for half that, for $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an incredible deal. Also, like I said, it's December. The holidays are coming up. Gift giving. is always stressful. You get somebody like a t-shirt that they're going to wear once or twice and maybe won't fit. Or you could get them a subscription to a streaming service made by creators you know they love that lets them watch those videos early without ads, lets them download them to their phone. And you can get that for $30 a year if you get it within the month of December. That is an incredible deal. That cannot be beat. So again, go to go.tv/thenandocut in the month of December and get a year of Nebula for $30. It's a great deal. Watch the dinner plan, watch all my videos early, watch all the other cool stuff we put up there, and we'll check back in a year and see where this all ends up. Till then, thank you for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you all soon.